Hello everybody, and welcome to the John Draft League. My name is Ryan, otherwise known as Euph, and this is a small draft league that me and some friends put together. It's an 8-man draft league, Regulation H, closed team sheet, closed Terra, and we had 110 points to pick 10 Mons, and I'm proud to present to you our Atlanta Braviaries. I was lucky enough to get the 3rd pick in the draft, and with that, my first round pick was Ursaluna Bloodmoon. I think it's one of the best Pokemon in Regulation H. It's an extreme powerhouse, gives me a good way to build off of for Tailwind and Trick Room. It is extremely hard to remove and gives me strong, normal, and ground type stab. I am very glad that I got this Mon, and I think it's going to do me very well throughout the league. For my 3rd pick, I went with Blaze Tauros. I knew I needed an Intimidator, and Fire and Fighting Stab worked great with the rest of the Mons that I have already. And I just figured it was the best and most budget option available at the time. And I think it's also going to do fantastic for our team. For my 4th pick, I knew I needed a Water type to start rounding out a Fire, Water, Grass core. So I went with, looking in the lower priced options, I found Hisuian Samurott. It gives me a Dark type, so I have a switch into Psychic type moves that might hit my Tauros super effectively. And it also gives me access to some cheeky hazards. It gives me access to a relatively fast taunt, and gives me Water Stab, which is very important. With its Sharpness ability, it can hit pretty hard. Now, at this point in the draft, I knew I needed some speed control. So I decided to go way down in the price and find Trevenant, giving me access to Trick Room and rounding out my Fire, Water, Grass core, and also giving me immunity to fighting, which I desperately need on my team so far, because those hit my Ursaluna pretty hard. It's pretty hard on its own, with Poltergeist and Hornleech, and just a good combination of Grass Ghost Stab, and it also has access to a lot of good abilities like Frisk and Harvest that can give me a lot of information or keep it alive for a long time. So for my next pick, I realized that I needed a little bit more firepower into some water types, and I knew I wanted a steel type so that I could resist fairy type moves, which I don't have a resistance to yet. And Magnezone was there, and only 7 points, I knew I had to take it. It also gave me an option specifically into a Mon that is going to be relevant very soon, that I would have had no answers into without it. So Magnezone was very essential for our team. It also traps opposing steel types, which I don't necessarily have a hard time hitting, but it just gives me more options into them. And Electric Stab is just very important. I think it's probably one of the more important things to have in draft. So very happy that I got to pick up Magnezone, and I'm very excited to use it. Now, next, I realized that I needed a Redirector and some utility. I'm lacking in utility at this point in the draft, and so I went budget and went with Venonat. Now, fans of Wolf might notice that there's a little bit of a pattern with my draft here, where I've picked Trevenant and Venonat. I figured, well, actually, hearing him talk about his draft initially, he initially wanted to pick Ursaluna Bloodmoon, and noticing that he went with these 2 picks, probably intentionally trying to synergize with Bloodmoon, I figured I could take advantage of that wisdom for myself, and yeah, I'm excited to use Venonat. It's just basically budget Amoonguss. It's fairly less bulky than Amoonguss, but it's bulkier than meets the eye with Eviolite and with Compound Dyes. It still has pretty accurate sleep powders to put my opponents to sleep. It can use Struggle Bug to weaken special attackers, Rage Powder to redirect, and also some other utility like Toxic Spikes in case I need it in some matchups. Overall, I think it's going to be a very important part of the team. It can help me get Trick Room up, it can just keep my Bloodmoon safe for a couple turns, and Redirection is quite important. It can also make my opponents over prep for it, and if maybe I don't bring Venonat some weeks, and they might bring Safety Goggles and Terra Grass trying to prep for it. So it's a Mon that you have to respect, and I'm glad that for 2 points I managed to pick this Mon. Now next, I needed a Fake Out Mon, and I knew I wanted another Steel type. Steel is obviously a very good type, and just having more Fairy resistances is always good. At this point, having picked up Magnezone and Venonat, having a 3rd resistance is pretty good in my books. Berserker gets Fake Out, and it hits pretty hard with abilities like Tough Claws, and it can have Steely Spirit to help Magnezone out, but I don't particularly see myself doing that very often. But Having access to Fake Out and U-Turn, it can be a pretty solid pivot. It hits pretty hard, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by the damage that it outputs, and it gives me just a little bit more leeway into setting up Trick Room or overall disrupting my opponents when I need some extra positioning. Now at this point in the draft, I had saved up a lot of points, and there were some very surprising mons that hadn't gone yet. So I used my second to last pick to pick up Whimsicott. I knew I wanted a Tailwinder at some point in the draft, but I was holding off a long time because I was looking at a number of mons to do it. At first I was going to pick up Rabombi because I knew I wanted Fake Tears to strengthen my Blood Moon and Ninetales damage output. I knew I wanted a relatively fast mon because there are mons in draft that are faster than the rest of my team at this point, and I knew that I needed something that would be able to pick up things faster than a Ninetales. I wanted at least a mon that was faster than the base 110s. Now, Whimsicott being available just happened to fulfill all of these requirements for me. It gives me another fighting resistance, which I desperately need at this point. It gives me access to more Fairy Stab, and it gives me access to Prankster Tailwind, Fake Tears, Charm, just a lot of very good utility. It's very difficult to predict what Whimsicott is going to do in a closed team sheet format, and so I expect to bring this one to a lot of matchups. It's going to be a very pivotal part of the team. Now lastly, I knew I wanted a Dragon type. However, with the ones that were still available at the time were notably Hydreigon and Baxcalibur. Initially I was going to pick up Baxcalibur, but I knew that I needed another fighting resist. And Flying Stab, while Dragonite doesn't get much, I guess I've already spoiled it. My last mon is Dragonite. While it doesn't get much, I knew that I needed that stab and I needed that fighting resist. And also, Dragonite just gives me pretty solid options into boosting like Haze. It can output a lot of damage with the Scale Shot set. It can be Choice Band, and it can be Inner Focus to block Intimidate and Fake Out, or Multi-Scale just to be generally bulky. And it's also going to be very strong in some particular matchups that we will be looking at very soon. So that's it. That's all 10 mons that I drafted. Those are your Atlanta Braviaries, and I'm looking forward to this season. Now, unfortunately, I'm recording this a little bit late. We are actually 2 weeks into the draft at this point. However, I was not able to record my first week, so we're going to get a little creative with it. However, this was my matchup. My first opponent is JayoticNL, and his draft is a little bit devious, as you might see. Started off with Smeargle, got that Dondozo-Tatsugiri, and then decided that he was going to make everybody else's day miserable with Flamigo, Muck, Espeon, and that Typhlosion over there. Weezing can also be a little bit of a nuisance. And then Dodrio is just a fast Tailwind setter, also gets some pretty good utility, and Dunsparce for Dunsparce things, I suppose. I don't really know what it's doing here, and I didn't expect it to come this week. So, first off, when looking at this matchup, Smeargle is terrifying, always. It can put me to sleep, it can fake me out. I have to be ready for basically any move that this mon can pull out. However, given the rest of the mons that are available on his team, I think it's pretty simple to be able to guess that it's going to be supporting some sort of Muck shenanigans or Co-Star shenanigans. And with that, I am able to create a pretty solid game plan for myself, I believe. So this is the team that I put together for my first week. I start off with Dragonite because it's insanely good into Smeargle. Scale Shot can guarantee a kill through Sash as long as it's not max defense or Terra Fairy, both of which I was a little afraid of going into the set. I'm Jolly so I can outspeed Smeargle and Scale Shot it before it can do anything, and I'm Inner Focus so I cannot be faked out. I'm Tailwind and Haze just because I want speed control and I need that Haze to stop a Dozo that could potentially come in. And Protect to keep myself safe. Now the Ursaluna set that I decided to run this week was Blood Moon, Earth Power, Yawn, and Protect. I decided to make myself faster than... What did I make myself faster than? I have to remember. I believe I am simply faster than Smeargle in Tailwind. I know that for sure. And I believe that was it. I think I'm simply just faster than Smeargle in Tailwind. I I wanted some lines into in case I needed to cover for a Mental Herb set that could be immune to Taunt, or a Terra Fairy that I needed to nuke off of turn 1. Next, my Trevenant. I designed this Trevenant to 1v1 Dozo. It's very bulky. It doesn't hit that hard, but it's got knockoff. I EV'd it so that it would always kill Espeon and do a good chunk to Typhlosion with knockoff. And I gave it Leech Seed and Haze and Trick Room so that I could swap the speeds and stall out Dozo with removing its leftovers and simply removing its stat boosts and sitting there with Leech Seed. And if I got the speed advantage of Blood Moon, I felt pretty confident in it being able to tear through the rest of the team. Ninetales on this set was a difficult decision to bring. I know I wanted Blizzard because Blizzard can't miss Muck, which is sort of important. I wasn't too worried about Muck because Ursaluna's Mind's Eye can ignore all of the evasiveness drops, but for the most part, I wanted this to have any form of speed control. It's also, I remember now, my Blood Moon is EV'd to outspeed Smeargle after an Icy Wind drop as well, and I just had it in case I needed to double into Smeargle, in case I needed to hit Dondozo super effectively with Freeze Dry, and also just generally to take hits and output decent damage with Blizzard. Now, Berserker, I brought it with safety goggles so it was immune to Spore, and I have Iron Head, Knock Off, Fake Out, and Protect. Protect just to keep it safe. Fake Out, obviously, is a move that I'm probably always going to be running on this Mon. I just wanted to be able to come in, disrupt my opponent, and buy me a turn while I reposition. Iron Head, with this attack investment, picks up a lot of surprising Mons. It does very good damage into Dodrio with Iron Head. I believe this knockoff also one-shots Typhlosion, and it definitely one-shots Espeon too. A lot of Mons. I am very afraid of the support Mons in this week, as you might tell. Dozo I feel fairly confident into. And lastly, I decided to put together this Samurott set, which was Lum just to avoid Spore again and have a faster taunt than Smeargle. And I decided to go with Sucker Punch and Aqua Cutter. Sucker Punch just to threaten Typhlosion, make sure that it always has to Terra, and Aqua Cutter just to do solid stab damage with water in case I have to threaten a one-shot on it without Sucker Punch, if it Terras. Sucker Punch also gives me solid damage into Tatsugiri and other Mons that I expect to be faster than me that may have Scarf.
Okay, this is gonna be a mess, and you don't have to watch this, but I'm doing it because I don't want to, like, re-record my set with Jay, and, I have to tell the people how it went somehow. So, we are, real YouTubinist here. Yeah, that's something. So, I'm just gonna, like, write it down and kind of, like, explain how it went. This is just kind of a mess, but, so game 1... my opponent led Dodrio. Oh my god, my notes. Oh no, they go away when I click. Oh, that's bad. Wait, can I like hide them over here? Hold on. Okay, that's better. So he leads Dodrio and Typhlosion. I would draw them, but it would take like way too long. Against my what did I lead? Wait, what did I lead? I didn't write that down. That's right. I think I led Dragonite and, huh? Who did I lead? Samurott? Yeah, I led Dragonite and Samurott. Right. I really wish I wrote this part down. So so Dodrio clicks Sunny Day and Typhlosion clicks Terrifier Eruption. I believe I Sucker Punch into Typhlosion and, Scale Shot the Dodrio, and I miss, actually. I remember I missed Scale Shot on Dodrio, so that's Sucker Punch and Scale Shot, but that misses. So Dodrio is at full HP, yippee, and Typhlosion is at about, like, half. And after that, I protect Samurott, Dodrio Brave Birds into it, and Typhlosion protects itself as I Scale Shot into Dodrio and Sucker Punch into Typhlosion again. I just want to keep Typhlosion. Oh wait, no, I don't Sucker Punch into Typhlosion again. You're right. I protected my Dodrio, or I protected my Samurai. I literally just said that. And so now I get 4 hits, and Dodrio is actually like down here-ish or something like that. It's like at this amount of HP. It's really low. toothbrush. Yep. It's really low. So after that, Dodrio Tailwinds, Typhlosion Heat Waves, and I believe that's right. I Sucker Punch into Dodrio to try to get the kill. I Scale Shot Typhlosion, and so Typhlosion goes down and Dodrio is still in here. And after this, dude, this is such a mess. This is like a horrible idea. Why am I doing this? This is so hard to follow. Dondozo comes in, the big fish. This is Dondozo. Hi Dondozo. That's Dondozo. And so Dondozo comes in, and after this turn, Dodrio switches out into Tatsugiri. Oh man. Yeah, Dodrio switches out, the fish comes in. And then at this point I'm like +2 speed with my Dragonite. I'm very fast. I'm very fast with my Dragonite. We're +2 speed. Did my Samurott go down to that Heat Wave? I think it did. Basically what happened is I get the haze off and my opponent forfeits. Because I have oh wait, no, the Samurott doesn't go down. He Ice Fangs my D-Knight after I get the haze off. I send in Ursaluna Blood Moon, and then he forfeits. Which isn't something you're supposed to do in Draft League, but it's whatever. It's like not a big deal. Can I clear this? I really hope I can. Hold on. Like select and delete. Yeah, okay. You're not supposed to do that in Draft League, but I think I end up giving the kills to my the kills to Blood Moon, and one of them to Berserker, because that's how I expected the game state to play out from there. Because all he had left was a low health. All he had left was a low health Dodrio in the back, a guy, Dondozo who's about to go down to a Blood Moon, and a Tatsugiri. The Tatsugiri Scarf, I found that out in game 2, but it never mattered. The Tatsugiri never got a chance to move. So game 2 is like where I totally completely forget to actually like how the game worked. But effectively Dodrio, it's the same lead. No, actually, so Dodrio and Dondozo leads. We're just gonna draw our Dozo again. Hello, Dozo. And I lead the same things. I lead Samurott and Dragonite. And this time I believe I protect as Dozo Ice Fangs into Dragonite, and they Tailwind. No, they Brave Bird into Samurott. I actually like have quite literally no clue what's going on here, but they Brave Bird into my Samurott as I switch to Ursaluna. That's right. So something, because I remember this happened, but like the game state is very hazy in my mind. A Samurott switches out into Ursaluna. I take the Brave Bird. I take like maybe a third of my health. And then what I remember happening this turn is, and this is where things like go completely blank in my mind. I remember taking another Brave Bird and a Wave Crash as I Terra Water and attack. But the thing is, I don't know what I did, because it doesn't make any sense for me to do what I did, because I don't remember I don't remember this taking any damage other than Brave Bird chip, and I don't remember this taking any damage here. So I really just don't have any clue what I must have done here. Because Dragonite never left the field, so I don't know what Dragonite did. Maybe I like hard red Geary coming in and hazed or something, which must have been what I did, but that feels like a really bad play, so I don't know why I did it. Ursaluna, I also don't know what I did. Maybe I yawned Dozo or something to force off the field. Or just covering for the Tatsugiri switching in. Basically, all of this is completely unimportant, because I don't remember like what happened or how I got into this game state. But eventually what happened is I get Samurott and Dragonite in front of each other next to full health Tatsugiri and Typhlosion. This is a Typhlosion. And so what I end up doing is Typhlosion has the opportunity to it has the opportunity to just click Eruption. And so what I end up doing is I Sucker Punch the Tatsugiri, get it down to about 50%, about half HP. As Typhlosion lets an Eruption rip, and I protect my Dragonite. And this is important because Tatsugiri sends a Dragon Pulse into my Dragonite. And now Tatsugiri is threatened by another Sucker Punch. So I am able to, after that, Sucker Punch the Tatsugiri again just to make sure it doesn't move. It ends up switching out to Dondozo, which like isn't too surprising. Dondozo comes back in. Hello, Dozo. And I Scale Shot the Typhlosion for the kill. I actually get, I think, a 5-hit and a crit, which might have mattered. I got myself into a very bad position in this game, and I'm very surprised that I was able to pull it out. As Samurott takes another... as Samurott... No, because Samurott switched in on an Eruption, and then took another Eruption, and then it dies this turn. So Samurott goes down as I Sucker Punch, but that is fine, because I send my Berserker in. And Berserker is doing great things, because he has Fake Out, and because Typhlosion goes down, bye-bye Typhlosion, bye-bye Typhlosion. Because the fish comes back in, Tatsugiri jumps in, Dozo, I get Fake Out Haze. It was just Fake Out, and then I Haze with Dragonite, and it gets rid of all of his boosts. And then I know that I need Tailwind probably in the event that I'm not able to get this Dozo down in a timely manner. So he Ice Fangs. He kills my guy. So we're dead here. Goodbye. So, but I Tailwind before that happens. So then Ursaluna comes back in with like its 2 HP, and I go for some plays that involve protecting and knockoff because I want basically I just protect knockoff because I want to cover for him protecting and I want damage down. I know a Blood Moon will kill at the range that it's at, but I need it to take this. I need it to take this damage, and I need it to either take this damage or protect so that I can Blood Moon at the next turn because I don't want it to protect on my Blood Moon. So it ends up protecting, and then I just get the kill on, and then I'm able to next turn Blood Moon the Dozo. Dozo dies, and then my knockoff goes into Tatsugiri and does like a half its HP. And at this point, the game is over because I've got Tailwind up, and he really can't do anything about that. So that's how I win this game, and I'm sorry for everybody who had to witness me do this. I really just didn't want to recreate the battle because I don't know how I got here. So, basically that's the game state, and that's the game state that I ended up winning off of, and I won. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right, guys? Right. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with this if you made it this far. Next week's we'll surely have recordings. In fact, I'm like so late and so busy on all of my uploads that I actually have the 2 next week's recorded when I'm recording this. And I think they'll all come out on the same day, and then they'll come out on a weekly basis because that's just how it's gonna work out. That's just how my schedule works. So yeah, those will be better. And I'm working on my commentary. My commentary is getting better too. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, fellas.